Hello! A brilliant inventor and scientist wants to change the events of the past and bring his beloved, who tragically died, back to life. To do this, Hartdegen builds the world's first time machine, which takes him 4 long years of work to complete. Launching the device for the first time, the hero hopes to reunite with Emma and has no idea that the grandiose invention will lead him to rethink his life values, help him let go of the past, and give hope for a brighter future. Dr. Alexander Hartdegen is a distinguished professor in the Department of Applied Mechanics and Engineering at Columbia University. The professor, madly in love with his work, spends his extracurricular hours proving groundbreaking concepts. The hero discusses his ideas with his trusted friend, mustachioed David Philby, wearing a bowler, who walks Alexander home on his extremely important day. While Alexander is dressing for his upcoming date, Philby is studying his friend's unusual inventions and fiddling with the latest innovation, an electric toothbrush, and expressing his doubts about his friend's correspondence with a wacky German named Einstein, who, according to Hartdegen, has some brilliant ideas. After putting on his impeccable jacket, Alexander chooses a suitable pocket watch from his collection, and having made sure of his flawless appearance, rushes headlong to his long-awaited date, taking a case with his engagement ring. The man is hurrying to the city park to meet his beloved Emma, and is about to buy her flowers, when his attention gets drawn by a man with the first steam-powered carriage of its kind. Alexander asks with interest about the unique invention and, carried away by the amazing encounter, forgets about the bouquet. The absent-minded inventor arrives late for his date as usual, yet Emma still meets her lover with a smile. Alexander invites the girl to the park, and the couple go for a walk through deserted alleys, where, having gathered his thoughts, the hero proposes his hand and heart to his beloved and presents her with a beautiful ring with a blue stone. Alexander reverently puts it on Emma's finger, when suddenly a suspicious-looking man in a bowler hat appears from behind the trees, watching the couple from the side. The stranger turns out to be a robber and demands the money and jewelry, threatening them with a loaded revolver. The criminal takes the wallet, watch, gloves, and in addition, tells them to give him the ring that Emma tries to hide behind her back. Alexander begs the criminal to let them keep the jewelry, but he, pushing the hero away, intends to pull it forcibly from the girl's hand, and trying to snatch the loot, accidentally pulls the trigger of his revolver. The bullet pierces the girl's chest, and Emma dies in Dr. Hartdegen's arms. 4 years pass. All these days the scientist spends in seclusion in his library, constantly occupied with work and mathematical calculations, and refuses to see even his best friend Philby, who one day does break into Alexander's shelter. Philby worries about the man's condition, who has become a recluse, with an overgrown beard and visibly gaunt. He tries to bring Alexander back to his former life, urging him to forget the tragic past, which cannot be changed, but the inventor convinces him otherwise.
No, you're wrong, because I will change it.
With this sudden statement, Alexander bewilders David and immediately tries to escort his friend out of the building. The guy, in the meantime, tries to look behind the dense black curtain. The scientist promises Philby to meet him for dinner in a week, and reassured by this agreement, David leaves. Later that day, like 4 years ago, Alexander puts on an impeccable jacket, chooses a matching pocket watch from his collection, and satisfied that his appearance is flawless, pulls back the black curtain. Behind it is his latest invention, the time machine he has been working on for the past 4 long years. The man takes a seat in the control chair and hangs a pendant with a photo of his deceased lover on the dashboard. The scientist sets the main lever in the right position, checks the instrument readings, and starts the engine, turning back time. Hartdegen and Emma are once again at the ice rink. This time, he arrives on time, and overwhelmed by the long-awaited encounter, kisses his chosen one in front of the public. Trying to keep her from being killed, Alexander takes the girl for a walk not in a deserted park, but to the busy city streets. Completely absorbed in the date, the inventor does not even pay attention to the man in the steam-powered carriage. Confident that he has changed the course of events, the hero asks his beloved to go home, but before doing so, he is going to give her the long-awaited bouquet of flowers, for which he goes to the shop across the street. He leaves Emma alone for a while, and in the meantime, events unfold that once again lead the girl to her imminent death. Hartdegen understands that the past cannot be changed.
I could come back 1,000 times, see her die 1,000 ways.
With a bitter realization of the harsh truth, the hero returns to the time machine. To this time, travel to the distant future. Many years pass before his eyes in an instant. Fashion changes, skyscrapers are built, technology advances, humanity goes into space. Alexander stops the rapid flow of time in the year 2030. There, he learns that humanity is no longer just exploring outer space, but is mastering lunar tourism. erecting hotels by the serene sea on the Earth's satellite. Hartdegen sets out to explore the city, to learn the events of the past. He comes to the museum. There, he is greeted by a modern search engine, a third-generation laser photonic system with a visual contact function that stores all human knowledge in its database. Alexander inquires about physics, hoping to learn how to change the past through time travel. However, the photonicist provides him with science fiction material, claiming that such information does not yet exist in the practical field. The database also contains information about Dr. Hartdegen himself. He was known for eccentric theories, including the creation of a time machine. The photonist refuses to further speculate on fantastical theories, claiming that time travel is impossible. The hero decides to go further in time, hoping for advances in technology and new opportunities, but makes an error. In 2037, a military regime is established all over the world, and civilizations collapse. The cause of this is a great lunar construction site where explosions occur, destroying the Earth's orbit. The doctor hurries to leave, but because of the jolting during the departure, hits his head on the machine and loses consciousness, without setting an exact date for the trip beforehand. In his unconscious state, Alexander traverses more than 800,000 years of history's development. Hartdegen regains consciousness in a cabin. After getting dressed, he is about to explore the area when he notices a child staring at him, who looks like a primitive savage. Getting out to follow the boy, who immediately runs away from him. Alexander is shocked by what he sees. The tribe he landed in builds huts on steep cliffs. The news of the aliens' awakening quickly spreads throughout the village, and the hero is surrounded on all sides by locals. Among them is a girl named Mara, who understands his ancient language. It is in her hut that the scientist woke up. He informs the girl of his journey from the past, so Mara decides to tell her tribesmen in the local language that the stranger has injured his head and turned into a madman. Seeing no danger in the alien, the tribe allows Alexander to stay. Settling into Mara and Kevin's cabin for the night, the time traveler lets the inquisitive kid take his pocket watch. The first night in the settlement, Alexander has a terrible nightmare. He dreams of a ghost and monstrous metal jaws, whose deadly fangs sharply close when approached. Together with the protagonist from A Nightmare in the Night, wakes up Mara's son, frightened to death. Hartdegen learns from the girl that all the settlers have this terrible dream every night. The next day, Mara leads Alexander to the remains of the Brooklyn Bridge. There are stone tablets with inscriptions, from which the tribe learns the ancient language. Here, the girl was taught the language as a child by her parents, and now she herself teaches it to her fellow tribesmen. Left alone with the traveler, Mara asks him a question that interests her.
Why have you come here?
The man answers evasively that he is looking for a way to change the past, but the girl quickly understands the reason for this desire. Alexander has lost someone he loved in the past and cannot come to terms with it. Later, the couple sails on a boat down a river. The doctor is also occupied with one question about the settlers, and he asks Mara why there are no old men in the tribe. To which the girl replies that they are all dead. Their tribe does not live in the past and do not grieve over losses. They do things differently. They cherish the memory of the departed. Mara leads Hartdegen to the time machine, and after assessing its condition, the hero realizes that it is operational, understanding that Alexander is about to depart back to his own time. Mara suddenly, restlessly starts begging the traveler to take her son Kevin with him. Puzzled by this request, the hero tries to find out the reason, but the conversation is interrupted by an alarm signal, and the girl rushes to the riverbank. Desperate panic erupts among the settlers, and everyone scrambles to find cover from the Morlocks, one of whom Alexander sees right in front of him. The fearsome hunters throw darts at their victims, and one of them plunges into Mara's shoulder, leaving a black mark on the girl. After trapping the frightened settlers on the shore, the Morlocks yank the marked victims out of the crowd and take them with them through a sand tunnel into a dungeon. Kevin is marked as well, but Alexander manages to save him by fighting off the monster. Yet defenseless Mara cannot escape her fate, and the last Morlock inexorably drags her into the creepy dungeon, the entrance to which is instantly shut behind him. Astonished that the tribe does not fight their enemies, Alexander learns from them that the settlers humbly accept their fate.
It is the day and the night. This is the world.
Having already experienced the loss of a loved one in the past, this time, the scientist is not going to give up. He intends to fight, for which he encourages Kevin to overcome his fear and tell him everything he knows about the Morlocks. At night, Alexander and Kevin go to the place where the ghost lives. The boy leads the traveler to an underground cave, where he finds a photonic who has survived the merciless flow of time. The photonic tells Alexander everything he knows about modern times. There are two races living on the planet. The lower one, the beasts, for whom the upper tribes are food. Those, in turn, do not seek to change the future and do not know their past, in contrast to the photonic, who remembers every day of his life, including its meeting with Hartdegen a long time ago. The ghost gives him a clue as to where to go in search of the Morlock hideout.
Just follow the breathing.
After hearing the ghost's words, the scientist and the boy travel east and find a cave that terrifies the tribes in their dreams. Alexander realizes that the nightmare, which warns of danger, is meant to protect the cave from the invasion of the upper race. Sensing that this is where the ultimate enemy lurks, the scientist heads inside, leaving Kevin in safety on the outside. Alexander advances through the underground tunnel and enters Morlock's den, a world of darkness, fire, steel, and bloodthirsty creatures, a confrontation with which he cannot avoid. So the man finds himself imprisoned in a cold dungeon. There, Hartdegen first finds Mara, and then meets the Uber Morlock, whose image he saw in a dream. The villain tells Alexander how their world was organized after the collapse of the moon, and how the population of the Earth was divided into castes, some of which hunt and others serve as fodder. The Uber Morlock controls the minds of the tribes through suggestion, so that they perform their tasks for the survival of the planet in the future, which, unlike the past, can be changed. The Uber Morlock sees in the Traveler a clear danger to the established and controlled world order and tries to force him to go to his time. He addresses Alexander by name. It turns out that he knows everything about him and instills in the man the illusion of the past, where he happily lives together with his beloved Emma. Morlock immediately invites him to get into the time machine and travel back, finally presenting him with his pocket watch. Alexander pretends that he is going to obey the order and starts the time machine, programming the device to leap into the future. In a furious fight, the hero drags the Uber Morlock with him, suspending the villain from outside the protected capsule. And time mercilessly wipes the immortal Morlock from the face of the Earth. Once in the future, Alexander sees a grim scene, the dark world of the Morlocks, who hundreds of years later have been able to come to the surface. The scientist decides to change the course of time again. The Traveler returns to the past, having freed Mara from imprisonment. The inventor turns the machine into a time bomb by closing the circuit of the mechanism with the pocket watch, which will inevitably lead to the destruction of the time machine itself and the unfair division of people into prey and hunters. Together with Mara, the hero manages to get out of the cave inhabited by the Morlocks, while the bloodthirsty race is destroyed by the blue blast wave of the time machine, which cleanses this world of dark evil. Having freed the tribes from oppression and destroyed the time machine, Alexander can no longer return to the past. Yet he realizes that he does not need it now. The scientist is ready to build his new future here. As always, you'll find the title of the movie in the description. Let us know in the comments, would you like to go back in time to change some events of your life? And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next awesome retelling.